Hey there's Smith from Minute Maintenance coming at you. I know it's been a hot minute, but today we actually got some work going on. Being out here in the country, a lot of people aren't able to bring the vehicles out along with the economy right now, but that's all right. Thankfully, the mechanical gods have provided, and I got a couple things I gotta look at on my 2007 Ford Expedition. None too, but to do it, let's get some maintenance done. All right, guys, so before me, we have my 2007 Ford Expedition, which has the 5.4 liter Triton motor under the hood there. I'm pushing almost 250,000 miles on this truck. It's actually been pretty bulletproof, and there's a couple noises coming from the engine. We'll talk about that in a separate vehicle. But today, the issue we're having is right down here. Something you never want to see, a puddle lying underneath your vehicle. Now, it is the summertime. Puddles can be caused by all sorts of different things. Condensation from the air compressor running because it's cooling things down. The lines are cold. But that is such a large amount of fluid. That is not condensation. See how wet and active that puddle is? Still actively, oh, there's my puppy back there. Hey Luna, still actively dripping coming from back here behind the rear tire. So I think what we're gonna do is try to jack this truck up, get this rear tire off, and see if we can figure out where this leak is coming from. Alright guys, the first thing you want to do when it comes to taking off any tires, you want to gather the appropriate materials. Now I have my jack, a jack stand for safety purposes, and I have my tire iron right there, my 4-way spinner. I also have a flathead screwdriver because on this particular rim, it does have this outer lug nut cover to make it look a little bit fancier, and there's a little notch located right here on the side of the cover. Allows you to get your little screwdriver or pry bar in there. You can just go ahead and just work it around there. Just go until she pops herself loose. And there we go. Now I got access to our lug nuts, and makes for a nice little cover to hold the lug nuts when we start working on those. Now before you even jack the tire up, I always like to loosen up the lug nuts because it's a lot easier to loosen them up while the vehicle's on the ground and there's pressure on it, as opposed to when you're sitting and trying to bounce on jack or jack stand. Things get a little topsy-turvy. So go ahead and hook up your tire iron and start just loosening up all the lug nuts. Alright guys, the 4-way spinner really gives you the ability to grab on and put a little bit of leverage. And a little pro tip, if you're wearing shoes and one side happens to be stuck, you don't have the arm strength to power through, you can always, again, if you're wearing shoes, this is going to hurt me because I'm not, hold on the one side here to keep it steady, put it on the other side, and give it a little boom. So when you're jacking up a vehicle, you want to make sure you jack it up just enough so that you get daylight underneath the tire for the removal and sitting down on the jack stand. Now, if you jack it up just far enough where there's just a little bit of daylight under the tire, when you go to set the jack down and lower it onto your jack stand for your extra protection, then the tire's going to come touch the ground. So make sure you have just enough space that your tires are free and you can sit on the jack stand. Now what you can see here, what I did is I chose to hook on to my shock mount here because I know I have solid shocks. You know, I know there's a lot of, you guys, some people might be a little worried about all the rust back here. This is actually a very solid frame, not much buckling going on, okay? My shocks are good and solid back here, and I went ahead and used this. Now when you're jacking onto your shock mount as opposed to the rest of the cross member or even on the rear differential or somewhere else on the frame, you got to factor in the fact that it is a shock, right? It's going to collapse a little bit, which will help bring the tire off the ground. But then when you go to lower it, even though you're lowering it onto a jack stand, once it expands, then you might not be off the ground anymore. So keep that in mind. What I'm going to do is leave my jack here. Got my jacks in there for extra protection just because I'm a little bit of paranoid type person. We're going to get this tire off and hopefully we can see where this leak is coming from. Alright guys, now that the vehicle's jacked off and the wheel is off, I got some wood blocks in here underneath my jack stand, just give it a little bit extra lift off the ground. That way I don't have to have the jack stand at full extension. Now we can see how wet everything is back here. It was definitely leaking. Now my coolant reservoir was completely low from leaking all overnight, so I went ahead and filled it back up so I can try to figure out where this leak is coming from. You can see we can have a couple different lines back there, and if we're looking, we can see right there, we got, now that I refilled the reservoir, we got some active drips coming off of that middle HVAC line. Now, I don't see any moisture further up that way towards the right, towards the hood. And if you follow the lines towards the back, I don't see any moisture back there. So wherever the leak is coming from, it's probably right around the suspension here near this upper control arm. So now it just takes a little bit of investigatory looking around, seeing is it something we can actually get to? Is it actually something that we can get our hands on? Because that's a really tight fit, and honestly, I don't think this is going to work out the way I wanted this video to go. So I'm gonna do a little more digging and I'll get back with you. All right, so this is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. This is honestly one of the more difficult jobs I've had to do in a long time. And of course, how gracious of the mechanic guys to throw this at me, being it's the first video I've been able to bring you guys in a long time. Again, I'm sorry about that. But tracing the lines on this truck, okay, being able to just study where that leak is coming from, obviously it's coolant related, so I know that, okay? So why would coolant be coming all the way to the back of the truck? Because of the heater core. If you come to the back tailgate of the Expedition here, inside here, because it's an 07 Expedition, let me go ahead and see if I can get this cat off real quick. Inside there is your AC and rear heating elements for your truck. Okay, so now that we got that in mind, there's a couple different spots where the leak could be coming from, but where it's coming from off the frame, there's no space for me to get under there. I was hoping I'd be able to get my hands underneath there, maybe slip over a rubber sleeve or part of a brake hose line after cutting the metal line, or even just slitting a brake hose line down the middle, wrapping it around there and then clamping it down just to hold it in place, because it's not a high pressure line, it's a coolant line, and it'll take the path of least resistance. And so even if I just pinch it off just a little bit, it should just be able to maintain itself. Unfortunately, I can't get to it because of the way this was designed, because of the space. There's nothing for, I can't even find the actual hole, but I can see where the leak is coming from. I know it's coolant related, I know it's coming back here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the front. I followed the lines all the way to the front to see where they're connected. And if we come to the engine here, these are my main heater core lines that come off the firewall, and as you can see, they tee off here and they split where they go to these two rubber hoses and then to those two solid metal lines right there that run all the way back the length of the truck. And the other two lines, because there was 4 lines down there, the other 2 lines that were wrapped in a fabric type material like this one, those are the AC lines that come off of here. Following those go back there. Those don't rely on coolant, those rely on Freon to work. What that means to me is I can cut these 2 rubber hoses here and I can bypass them. It wants to be a closed system, so I'm going to have to find a way to loop it together using some PVC and some clamps, and that should stop my leaks from happening. I don't need the rear AC. The front one cooks high enough. This thing has million miles on it. This is my beater with 1 heater now. Let's see if we can keep it on the road. All right, guys, so this is a bit of a difficult one right here for me to really film. So I'm gonna walk you through it, and then I'm gonna start to do it. I don't want to lose any more coolant than I have to from the engine. So what my plan is right here, because I figured out that it was coolant leaking back there by the taste. Yeah, I tasted it. That's all right. I took a little snacky snack. It's hot out here. It's coolant. You need to cool off. All right, I knew that it was coolant. I knew it was coming from back in the heater core. I knew that I couldn't get to the lines based on where they were on the frame, where the issue was. I traced the lines all the way up here. And on the heater core, you're going to have a inward line and an outward line. It's a closed system pushing and sucking the fluid back there. Right here, these 2 hoses are rubber. And again, these 2 connect to the 2 hard metal lines. Gosh, I don't know if you can see those. 2 hard metal lines. They go all the way back there, and it's one of these that are leaking. Okay, I believe it is this one that's leaking, but regardless, what my plan is, I'm going to cut these rubber lines, preferably this one, based on what I'm looking at, and I think I can use this clamp that was attached here to this T. Okay, it appears to be the same size rubber hose. My hope is if I cut the rubber hose down here, there's enough play that I can then loop that hose to connect to this T, closing off the system up here, as opposed to back there at the heater core. And that should get me working. But again, once I pull this, I already got the clamp off. Once I pull the rest of the hose off, I'm gonna start losing fluid, coolant leaking all over my coil packs. As you can see, these are aftermarket coil packs. You can look back on one of the videos here at Minute Mains. I showed you how I changed all the coil packs on here, because this one right here on this cylinder had short circuited due to this T being corroded and broken and dripping onto that coil pack and fried it out. So I'd already replaced this particular T section years ago. So I'm gonna take this clamp off, pull this hose off, cut the hose on this line as far down as I can so I get as much length as possible, loop it back over here, and then clamp it on. Then we should be locked, stocked, ready to rock. If not, thankfully, we've got a few more vehicles that'll get me by so I can find a more permanent solution for this. But hopefully this will be a one and done, getting after it. So nothing to it but to do it. All right, what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to take my flathead screwdriver. Again, I'd already taken my pliers and loosened up this clamp so it's out of the way. It was up here. You can see the teeth marks on it. I'm going to take my flathead screwdriver and start loosening up the rubber hose. Try to loosen it up a little bit. That way it pulls off a lot easier. And I'm turning the hose, and as you can see, all right, it's nice and loose, so I should be able to, when I'm ready, yank that guy right off. But first things first, I want to cut this cat down here And hopefully, they do make hose cutters. I do have hose cutters. I just don't happen to know where they're at. Plus the bulk anyway. So I'm gonna use my trusty dusty wire cutters. I'll come down here as far as I can on this line where I don't see any interference from like plastic. And I'm just gonna cut, and hopefully we can shunt it. I'm gonna try to get as straight an edge as I can. Just taking my time, I know. No rushing. Watch out for that wiring harness that's trying to pop in and say hello. Okay, so with that out of the way, but it looks like that's gonna put too much pressure on the line that I have. So there goes that plan. Now here's where we're at. So where these lines connect down here rubberly, you see this little piece of plastic that's left on this metal hose here. There's two tabs on the sides. You can push those in. This one's super seized. Luckily on this one, I was able to push those two tabs in so that I was able to pull this coupler off where the hose is actually connected to. And what I'm going to do is take this wider end that those two tabs had fitted into. You pull it up that way. I'll have to push those two tabs in. I took my hacksaw, cut off that fat part, and I'm going to use this because I don't have a hardware store near me with any PVC pipe. I just ran by the hardware store and they don't have any PVC fittings that's going to work. I'm going to take this nipple end, stick it in that hose, this fatter end, force it into this hose, which is off the first line. So we had line 1 that we cut. We're going to force the nipple in there, clamp it down. Line 2, which we pulled off, force nipple in that end, which will help allow our coolant to route around. Let's get after it. All right, here's our Frankenstein mashup. So again, we cut this line in particular, okay? You can see the remnants of it back there where we cut it, because the hope was to make it go this way. But the hose wasn't long enough, it was pinching itself off. You can see it's not pinched off right there, that's why I zip tied it right here. That way it doesn't move around and cause itself to get pinched off. Then we were able to pull this line off by pushing in the two tabs that were down there. Thankfully, let's see if we can get a better angle of that. You see the sleeve here, there's a tab right there. There's one on the other side. You would push those, see how they're bending, push those in. I was able to pull the hose off. Thankfully that one wasn't seized. And then I was able to use the plastic fitting that I pulled off here, cut off a chunk that was too big. All right, hacksawed that off. And I was able to meld this together. Now this would have been a lot faster, a lot easier of a project if I had a hardware store nearby, but that's the perks of living in the middle of nowhere, right? No people, no businesses, that's perfectly fine. So I was able to make this work with what I had going on. I used the same clamps I had. I had a particular band clamp sitting in my box I was able to use to clamp this down a little bit better. Topped off my coolant and it stopped leaking. Now that could be because everything leaked out or because I fixed my issue, but my leak has stopped. You can see the last remaining drip on that pipe there, but as far as an active leak, that's no more. So let's go ahead and start this truck and see what we got. All right, don't mind the initial noise you're gonna hear. I'll do a whole video about what that noise is, but it's nothing to be concerned with. 206,000 miles. Lift gates open, of course. Tire pressure, yeah. I barely made it here. I was gonna put gas in here in case I wasn't able to fix it. All right, so coolant's there. Because it's just started, so it's low. You can hear that wonderful exhaust manifold. Not a problem. Coolant level looks reasonable. Level is where it needs to be. Does not need to be topped off at this moment. Come over here. Give our main hose a squeeze. Okay. When I do that, I can see the water moving in the reservoir. Okay. And am I leaking here? Not leaking here, not leaking anywhere. I made my connection. Nothing's coming back up out of those lines over there. I come over here. Has it caused any change to that last remaining drop? Drip, drip, drippity, 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 drop. Well, it must have dripped off. I'm not seeing any more active leaking. No more active dripping. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this run for a little bit, make sure that it doesn't start overheating, make sure that no leaks pull up. But I think the only negative to this is I don't have rear heat anymore. My kids won't have any rear heat. Well, good thing is, last time I checked, I don't drive from the back of the truck, so sucks to be my kids come winter time, but this thing cooks well enough that it'll be able to heat up everything throughout the whole cabin. That's perfectly fine. If not, put a sweatshirt on for all I care. Again, this is my beater with a heater down to 1 instead of 2, but 1's better than none. So go ahead and let this run for a little bit. While I put this wheel back together and get her back on the ground, make sure she doesn't overheat. All right, so far no more active leak. Nothing actively, nothing actively leaking or dripping. And if you come over here, you can see that everything is still connected, still dry, nothing's leaking or pouring off anywhere. Fluid level is staying maintained where it should, and we've currently been idling for about 10 minutes, sitting at operating temperature. All right, so far everything seems to be a mitigated success, an unmitigated success. So there you go, guys. That's how you bypass the rear heater cooler, basically is what we ended up doing, the rear heater core on the 2007 Ford Expedition. Again, we had a leak coming from a line. I would have much rather been able to cut and patch that line, do a similar thing where I sleeve it by putting a rubber hose over it, or find a way to seal off whatever hole was back there. But obviously, given the zero space we had to work with, I wasn't gonna be able to get above the frame and get the work done as needed. So we went with the next best option, that was going to the front of the engine and cutting and bypassing the heater hose altogether. Again, it's a closed loop system. Fluid goes through and comes back. So all we did was whoop, shorten that loop. Not that big a deal, not the end of the world, not that difficult, something anybody can do at home, especially if you have a Home Depot nearby. We can actually get the proper fitting PVCs that you need. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. As always, like, comment, subscribe, drop anything below. We'll do the best we can to get more videos coming at you. I got about 3 or 4 more projects myself I'll be working on here later this week. Now they got some time off from work and it's not 120 degrees. We're in a heat wave the last 2 weeks. Before that, you know, just life's expensive, guys. Life's expensive. This inflation is no joke. And so guys, again, like, subscribe, drop your comments, questions below. And as always, find a minute out of your own day to do some maintenance. We'll catch you next time. So far she's running so good. Now let's hope I can make it to the gas station in time. That's where the real struggle is going to be, boys and girls. Not much of a minute maintenance fix for that. Just put gas in your truck. Pro tip.